did want to just offer a basic framework, one basic framework for thinking about leadership. This leadership is one of the themes that will run through a lot of the different cases. We'll talk about it more later today. I think this is one of the cases where there is this opportunity to think about leadership. And I know many of you, basically all of you, are leaders in one way or another. There's a lot of literature on leadership, a lot of different ways in which it's thought about. Some editorializing I'll do is, one is I think it's the science around it is maybe a little less developed than some other aspects of what, I don't know if you would agree, Rob. Maybe not. But yeah, it's a tough, it's a complex phenomenon, let's say that. But I think one of the things that is generally accepted now among people who teach leadership, teach management, is leadership is something that can be taught. And there's no personality trait, set of traits that makes you a leader or not a leader. Anyone can be a leader, and there are things that can be learned, there are ways of acting, there are ways of being in the world that are consistent with being effective as a leader. And one of the frameworks that I wanted to share, which I felt like had a lot of resonance with this case, was a framework that a guy named Rob Kaplan, who was at Harvard Business School for a while, presented when he taught on one of our courses that we teach at the medical school. And it's really simple, but some of the best, I think some of these best frameworks are ones that are very simple. And for me, this has informed my own thinking about how to be a leader almost more than anything else. But the idea is there are certain ways you need to be as a leader, and there are three kind of important categories of action. One is you need to take ownership. Leaders take ownership. And to me, that really resonated in this case with the idea of ownership. Number two, you have to know what you believe. And number three, you have to be willing to act on what you believe. And it's very simple, right? But if you ask yourself, as you think about situations you've been in, you've observed, and observe people who you think are effective leaders or not effective leaders, to me it's a really helpful way of thinking about leadership. And Rob told a great story that really brought it home for me when he taught this to us in the class. He said he does sort of lecturing around the country, and he did a lecture for a school system. I can't remember where in the country it was. And he gave his talk about what leadership is. He presented this framework, and the principal came up to him at the end of the talk, and they said, you know, I actually something just happened last week that's one of the best examples of leadership that I've ever observed, and it fits your framework perfectly. And it was a janitor. And what happened was a kid in first grade had wet his pants. And the janitor observed this. The teachers were off somewhere else. He observed this. He took the kid aside. He found a teacher. He found some clothes. And he helped him quickly make sure that the kid privately was able to change his clothes and go back on his day, basically. And you know, it's a simple example, but it really drives home a couple points that I think are really critical. And you know, here was someone. First of all, anyone really good at organizations don't think that there's one leader at the top and everyone else that follows, and it relates to what Rob was talking about before. The idea is everyone can be a leader in different situations. And here was someone who took ownership, knew what he thought was right, and then acted very quickly on that. And I thought that was a really cool example that stuck with me.